Hey everybody, it's Tim. Welcome to Winning Wednesday. So during the past couple of weeks, I've spent an awful lot of time thinking about sales. We've rolled out a couple new programs in my coaching business, and I've acquired another agency. And so we're doing a lot of thinking about the selling process. And lots of people get hung up on the mechanics of the selling process. So, what is the right CRM? What's the right cold outreach strategy? What's the whatever? Do I use a deck or not? Do I have a one call close or a two call close? Do we send a proposal? Don't we send a proposal? Well, listen, all of those choices, there isn't a right one because they all sort of revolve around you and how you work and how you think and all that sort of stuff. But there is one crucial element to every sales process that has to be so tight and so dialed in that it never gets out of hand and never escapes anybody involved in the sales process. And that is actually who you're selling to. Now, I don't mean what's your niche, because, picking a niche, that isn't what you mean by who you're selling to. I mean, it does, but most of the time people think you pick a niche so you can become the big fish in a small pond. That's not true. You pick a niche so that you can have fewer variables to consider. And so you get better at the things you do faster. But understanding who you're selling to is crucial, because everything that you do from there on out, from your marketing to your value proposition to whether you use a one call close or a two call close or a 10 call close, or if you are doing ads or not doing ads or whatever, all of those things revolve around the choice of whom you're selling to. Now, the most amazing part is that inside of whom you're selling to, so let's imagine that you are really focused on selling to e-commerce companies that are doing more than $5 million a year, but less than $20 million a year in an environment where their gross margin is somewhere between 65 and 75%, right? So like that's a pretty tight target, right? And that would feel like a niche. But you need to understand inside of that niche, am I selling to the CEO? Or am I selling to a CMO or a CIO or CTO or CSO? You have to understand the individual person and their perspective in order to be able to sell anything to them. And that is the first step in creating a robust, high efficiency, high engagement, highly profitable driving sales process. It really does start with knowing exactly who you're selling to. And so many companies don't figure this out ever. Now, it doesn't mean that you only have to have one, because you could sell to that $5 to $20 million e-commerce company, and you could sell to a $1 to $5 million e-commerce company with essentially the same process, but just different value propositions, because those companies have different problems. But in order to sell to either one of them, you have to understand the problems, and you also have to understand the lens of the person that you are selling to, because the CEO has a very different lens than a marketing director or an IT director or an HR director. The CEO has got a different set of parameters, and you need to understand that. So today's Winning Wednesday tip, and this is homework for you. I want you to identify who you're selling to. Not in fluffy terms, not in, not in sort of demographic or psychographic terms, but rather what position do they have in the company that you're trying to sell to? What are their responsibilities and what are the things that are important to them? Because that is so much more important than knowing if they went to Harvard Business School or to Michigan. It doesn't matter if they used to work at Google, and it doesn't matter if they used to, whatever, play professional basketball. What matters is how they are looking at the world right now and how they are thinking about solving the problems that they're experiencing. Because a good quality sales process answers the questions around the problems that are plaguing your clients and prospects. So your homework is tell me, who are you selling to? What's their view on the world? And what do they look for when they are considering hiring somebody who does what you do? Because you need to understand that in order to sell something so that your company can do what it does. That's it. That's Winning Wednesday. Don't forget your homework. I need you to tell me who you're selling to. Have a great week.